All right, we're back again. We're still working on our Ford Ranger again, and we're getting ready to do our cab corner, so we're going to pull the box. So, what we got here is our Mac star bit set, and we're using a T55 on a ratchet. It's a 3/8, but I got a 1/2 inch on there so I can use my impact. I pulled one out just to make sure it wasn't going to be too much of a trouble before I started filming, but you can see the bolts aren't even that rusty. And they're actually holding down below. So I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 to do. So I'm gonna pull them off, and then we'll pull this guy out, and we'll turn our Ranger around, back it up, use our hoist to lift our box off so we can start working on our cab corner over here. All right, we got our box off of our truck right there, and the truck right. I started cutting the cab corner out. We cut out, all I've done is cut out my bare minimum area to see what I was working with underneath. And this hole you see right there, around there, that's actually your inner. And we're gonna have to replace that too, which kind of got a little bit of a plan together. Here's my cab corner that I got. So all we need of this whole thing is right here. That's it. But this is the only way you can get this because they don't make it for the 4-door Super Cab. And all I'm gonna do is just find a good marker like that. It'll write on anything. It writes through dirt, oil, grease, and it shows up pretty good. Even black on black shows up to kind of, words are hard, kind of a red hue to it. And we'll mark it out on here too. And if this seems overwhelming to most people and you don't have a shop to use a hoist, I mean, you can have a couple buddies with some sawhorses, or just set it on the ground if you're careful enough. And it takes a minimum amount of tools. Like I just got a grinder, a hammer, and then it's a simple ratchet. You don't have to have an impact, you can use a ratchet. You can have a basic socket set, a basic star bit set, again, basic sockets again, a pair of pliers, a clip remover, which a flathead screwdriver works just fine. These tools you see right here is how I've gotten all this off. It may seem like it's overwhelming at one point, but if it's just a step by step by step. Step 1, unhook the battery. Step 2, take the box off. Step 3, unhook the wiring harness to take the box off. I didn't even take the bumper off. Step 4, take door off. Step 5, cut out. And I think that's about it. We got everything cut out, everything cleaned up. There's not all the way cleaned up, but enough to see where our bad spots were, so we ground away until we found good metal all the way around here. Here's what we used all of our patch panels so far. And that's all we're gonna use, just a itty bitty little corner of it. So, we got our little, this will be our inner, and it's gonna go right here. And this will be straight up and down, and there was 2 spot welds on our cab corner. There's 1, 2 here, and then 1, 2 here. This piece all was still good. Again, this is our inner structure down here, and we're just gonna weld this on top of it. That's all we needed for our cab corner. Just that little piece right there. And he goes, all right, I'm gonna try to do this one-handed again, so you gotta bear with me while I get her set up. Just like that right there. You see our body line looks really good. It'll sit down into there. And then we'll butt weld it across the back of there. We got that cleaned up. But now, here's what we're gonna have to do to fabricate is we got a big gap in there where this cab corner doesn't fit. So I've made a relief cut right here. So basically we're just gonna hammer that until it sits flat. And then this will still be facing up, and we might have to chop maybe a 1/2 inch or so off. We got our inner rebuilt and put in place. It's all welded and ground down across there. And then I got our actual cab corner here. And I got it, if I can turn to one here, I got it all bent around. And all I used for that was a pair of pliers, a pair of vice grips, a dull punch, a hammer, there's a grinding wheel, and then this is just a sanding pad on here. And that's the only things I used to make that entire bend across there. So here's what we got. Got that ground down, nice across there. I gotta trim this off across here. Set this up here and took my punch and I beat in where it needed to be across there, and then across there too. And then I got my pen, I took a mark, that's pretty close to where that needs to be across there. And then we'll go ahead and start welding in place. But before we do that, we're gonna take some weld through primer. Get a good look at that so you can find whatever. And all this is this, it's a lot of copper in it, and when it hits this bare metal, when we weld to it, it'll melt and it'll create a barrier around our weld too. All right, so we got our cab corner welded in. Plug welds turned out really nice. We got 2 there, and then this is the one. So this weld, and then I think that weld right there is our new inner we made. This is the old inner that was still good. There's our, and you see little, well, they're probably about 1-inch welds in sections. So I started here and I skipped to here and I skipped to there. And this is just so you spread your heat around and you wait about 5 minutes in between. That way you don't warp any of your metal. So you do a lot less filler work in the end. And then this was our cut we made down. We filled all the way across there. We got our little welds under there. We'll grind them all. I put 2 coats of filler on is what it took me to do this. The first one was just kind of a ruffian one, and the second one was just finish it off. You can see how it looked and see right across the edge where that was right there. And this is where all my spot welds were at, was down in here. And I just put 1 skim coat on it and it covered up pretty much everything. I had to go back for a couple of holes I had across here and I think right down around here. And then recreating our body lines in here was kind of the difficult part. I took a lot of hand sanding, but down across there, all the way up across there. And this doesn't actually have to be perfect because we're gonna have to figure out how to put some type of undercoat over it. So it doesn't have to be 100% perfect, but recreating this right into here. I don't know how well the camera's gonna show up, but there's a little triangle that comes down right across there and across here. And it meets all right in that corner where a lot of our weld was. So it is pretty hard to get straight, but we got it all straightened out. What we're gonna do, I think, is we're gonna prime it, put our undercoat over it, and then we'll paint it. And then once we get everything all painted, we'll go up inside of here on our backside, and we'll put a bunch of seam sealer and undercoat and stuff inside of there too to help with our rust control. And then we'll probably take out our back seat and see if we can get to the backside of this right here where our weld is, and see if we can get some undercoat or spray something where our weld is across here to try and prevent that too. But I figured I'd show you that, and we'll get ready to throw some primer on that. And then where our clear coat is peeling off of our hood, we'll sand all that down and we'll prime this at the same time too. All right, we're back. We got our hood all sanded down across the front. We took all of our clear coat off, and then we started hitting black again. And I noticed, you see the green right here? That's filler. So somebody has been up here, repaired it, and then the repair has started failing on the clear coat. You see some sand scratches that go back and forth, right? I don't know if you'll see that. Focus. Anyway, there's another one right there where they go back and forth. So somebody has sanded across this, and I never ran a block across here. I just used my D8 wherever it went. But yeah, somebody's been up here. We got this all sanded down with 220, and then we took a red scuff pad and went across the outside of our repair, so we have something to blend up to on primer. We'll get ready to tape it off and get some primer on here in a couple seconds. All right, we got it all primed. It sat for about a day. I went to work this morning. I painted it, or primed it last night, went to work this morning. Got off work, did a few things, and I come out, I'm gonna sand this down. We're gonna wet sand it with a block and 400 grit wet. You can see we taped our paper off to about here or so. And you see we didn't prime up to it. We don't have a hard line like we do here. And this is just one coat that got up next to it, so it shouldn't be too bad. But you want to try to avoid a hard line like that and just have it. You can see it scuffed up past it too. So we know all of our primer here is good. You see it goes past our scuff marks there too. And same thing over here, we got another hard line. You see it's nothing there, that'll all come right off. But then we get down to here, got a bit of a hard line here. But we'll sand this down with 400 wet, and then we'll scuff the rest of the hood with a gray scuff pad. And we're gonna come back here, we're gonna do the same thing back here. I backed the truck up under it, so I'm underneath my drains down here. That way the water just runs down the drains because it likes to pool up out there. We're gonna do the same thing here. Again, we didn't prime up past our scuff marks. Same thing there. And then we got to about the edge of our scuff marks there, but everything that we have down here is scuffed underneath with at least I think I took a red scuff pad up past it, but then we're up to about 220 up next to it too. And we'll sand all this down. We got a soft block for all the around these edges and everything. But we know this doesn't have to be perfect. And then we'll scuff a grease. We'll take this little plug off, and we'll end up probably taking this little plastic piece off. And I got to figure out where I'm going to blend it up to. I'm thinking is you can see where the hinges go on this, and you can see where the factory paint is actually light right here. We might try and sand our primer down to here, sealer here, color, color, clear, clear. So we might even just go to here somewhere. This will all be covered by the door anyway. I think we probably take it all the way up on the rocker and break it right there at that seam in the front of the rocker and all the way underneath. That's probably what we'll do there. We'll just reach up underneath and pop that plastic off underneath of there.